And joining us right now is Nate Erskine-Smith. Nate, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Now, you and I were talking during the Liberal convention. You said you'd be making a decision soon. Here you are now, 3 days later, the first candidate to throw his hat in the ring. Why do you want to become the Liberal leader of Ontario?
It's not complicated. The answer is to make the biggest difference that I can. I got involved 10 years ago because the federal party was in third place. It needed serious generational renewal. And we had a really frustrating conservative majority government, and that's where I could make the biggest difference. I left law for politics to make that difference, and all of the parallels now apply at the provincial level. We have a frustrating government that might not be as ideological, but is deeply incompetent, and we deserve better, and if you want better, then you got to participate. And so I've got a track record behind me that is different from 10 years ago. I've got a track record of getting things done, working across the aisle, shaping the government's agenda, doing politics, I think, a little bit differently, and we're in a place where we can help to rebuild the party. And I've been on the road for the last number of months, and it's been successful. I know it's going to continue to be successful. We just have to keep at it.
Oh, okay. I got to push back a little bit. You say incompetent, or at least not maybe push back, but at least get some clarity here. You're calling the progressive conservative government of Doug Ford incompetent, and yet they still enjoy much support in the province. Just exactly how is it incompetent?
So let's look at healthcare. One of the greatest challenges we have, 2 million people don't have access to a family health team. You look at the situation in nursing and great challenges, even though we know an investment in nursing leads to better patient outcomes. And instead, what does the government respond with? It responds with a distraction around privatization. It responds with capping nurses' salaries. And there's no serious action, meaningful action to deliver on what matters most in healthcare. You look at housing, another issue that matters so much to so many people across this province, affordable housing. And frankly, for a while there, the government was saying many of the right things, building housing supply, 1.5 million homes in 10 years, and restrictive zoning. And they've done the very opposite. They're encouraging sprawl. They're not listening to their own expert task force, and they're moving us backwards when we need to build supply to keep pace with population growth.
Okay, you point to 2015, though, as an example, and of course that is when the federal Liberals came into power here in Ottawa, but there was also a bit of a change mandate, if you will, being bandied about already. Is that the case right now? You know, again, it was not that long ago that the Ontario PCs not only won re-election, but won re-election with a resounding majority.
They won an election where not enough people participated. People didn't see politics the way I see it, one of the most important ways to make a difference. I think I've got to deliver a message that we aren't just the Not Doug Ford party. The province of Ontario needs serious options to look at in any election. And we need to present a serious option that is competence, that is compassion, that is integrity, the very values I don't see at Queen's Park in this current government. And we've got to deliver big solutions to big challenges, whether it's on healthcare, education, housing, environmental protection, social safety net reform. And I can tell you, having traveled the province, people shrugged their shoulders last election. We need to make sure that people see politics as the most important way to make a difference and get involved. Now's the time to participate. If you want better, I want better. If many people want better, now's the time to participate, because the answer is participation.
Okay, to the people in Ontario who may be asking, okay, but who is Nate Erskine-Smith? Your background is federal politics. You referenced your track record earlier, but build on that. Specifically, what can you point to as a success that you had a direct hand in bringing about in Ottawa?
So I can point to a number of things. I can point to the fact that we've made it automatic and increased the Canada Workers Benefit, lifting tens of thousands of people out of poverty. I introduced a caucus resolution in 2016 to do just that. We passed legislation this fall to treat drug use as a health issue, to save lives in the opioid crisis, divert people out of the healthcare system into the out of the justice system into the healthcare system. And that's legislation that I drafted and was supported by medical experts, was supported by the chiefs of police. I've made sure that we have stronger, more ambitious climate action, including net zero by 2050, a bill that I introduced in 2019 that became part of our 2019 platform and ultimately part of the climate accountability law. I've recently, at the industry committee, held grocery store executives to account for slashing pandemic pay premiums at the beginning of the pandemic, and we've seen wage fixing laws improved and strengthened as a result of that action. If you look at animal protections or privacy protections, $30 million in pediatric cancer care research, a permanent home for urban Indigenous service organizations here in Toronto. On a list of files, I have helped shape the government's agenda. More importantly, when I think about my own track record, I've also done politics differently. I haven't always agreed. I've pushed this government to be better. I've disagreed at times on behalf of my community. And there's a way, as Trudeau promised, to empower communities by empowering parliamentarians. It's politics that I believe in, and it's that kind of culture that I'm going to bring to Queen's Park.
Now, the Ontario Liberals are not even an official party inside the provincial legislature right now, very much stuck in third place. In terms of how you're going to do things differently, from a leader perspective, what lessons are you going to take from the past, in particular, the kind of lessons that you might take out of the missteps of former Premiers Dalton McGuinty and Kathleen Wynne?
So I think there is no substitute for building and maintaining an active presence in every corner of this province. I might be a member of Parliament from Toronto, but I have visited over 50 ridings since October. I've built a very strong team in Northern Ontario and Southwestern Ontario, in Eastern Ontario, and everywhere in between. And whether or not a community is represented by a Liberal at Queen's Park, every community deserves a strong voice in our party. That's the kind of party that I'm going to build. Strong, serious people who want to get involved in politics on behalf of their communities to make a difference. And that's the only way to do politics in a really serious grassroots way, bringing that kind of grassroots and generational renewal that we sorely need.
Now, will you be resigning your federal seat then?
Not just yet, but I am in active conversations and discussions. I've received advice that I should keep my seat the entire time. And in the end, what matters to me most is that Beaches East York is well served. So far, in the course of this exploratory tour, I've got a bill at the Health Committee. I've been active at the Industry Committee, defending consumer interests, especially in the telecommunications space. I've made sure that I was active through the budget process, just delivered a budget speech. So I've been able to wear two hats and do both jobs. But at some point, and I'm going to make this decision over the summer, I've got to look and say, am I going to deliver 100% for my constituents, or am I going to deliver 100% in this race? And I may not be able to do both. So it's an active conversation, and I'm going to make a decision over the summer.
Okay, now if you don't win the Ontario Liberal leadership, will you switch over to provincial politics? Will you try to run for a member of provincial parliament rather than member of federal parliament?
I am out to make the biggest difference that I can, and I think I've made a huge difference over the last 7.5 years with the role I have. I'm in this race to make an even bigger difference, and I'm not sure, to be honest. I may want to do that depending upon who the leader is, the direction of the party, the issues that the party is seized with and is going to address. And I may not, depending upon how it shakes out. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Okay. Nathaniel Erskine-Smith. Nate, thank you for the time this evening.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.